Hi, I'm Lisa Jones, and this is my cultural competence video. A culturally competent educator is one who advocates social justice in the classroom. Throughout our careers, we will have many diverse classes with students from all sorts of cultures and backgrounds. We will need to explore each student's culture, allowing them to share their life and experiences with the class. Doing so will help the students to maintain their identities and not be forced to lose themselves for education's sake. I believe if we allow our students to be themselves and help them understand each other, we can start to close the education gap. It will be important not to show bias towards our students. As we've learned in this class, we all have implicit bias, and by definition, we're not even aware of these biases. This is why it's important for us to do regular self-reflections and work on ourselves. We should allow our students to teach us. As to where I believe that I am on the competency chart, when I'm at school, I believe I fall under the cultural competence. I'm accepting of all the students on campus, and I believe that all students deserve an education, and I'm willing to help make sure that all of these students get the resources that they need to do this. When students talk to me about what's going on in their lives, I'm generally interested. I want all students to have a sense of belonging when they not only walk into my classroom, but into the school itself. We spend 8 hours a day with our students, and this is why I like to tell my students when they walk into my classroom that we are family. No matter what color they are, what race, what religion, or even what disabilities they may have, we all have to work together. When I'm not at school, if I'm to be honest, I believe that I fall under pre-competence. The reason I say this is not because I do not accept cultural differences outside of school. It is more because I have a hard time dealing with adults. And I tend to have some biases, actually lots of biases towards adults. And the funny thing is, it's not about race or religion or politics. It's more about the fact that adults should know better and they should do better. When they don't, that's a hard thing for me to handle. And when kids act out, I can take lots of things into consideration, like their home lives and their backgrounds and their religion. But when adults act out, I don't always think about these things. Maybe if I did, I would see the situation in a different light. Excuse me. The bias often causes me to avoid conversations with adults. So I do believe that I will always have room to grow. This brings us to what it will take for me to get to that next step of cultural competency. I believe I've already started by being aware of my biases and by being honest about them. Considering that I will have to talk to many adults, parents, administrators, colleagues, just to name a few, I will need to work on getting to that next step. Talking to these people intentionally and considering their backgrounds will help not only get to the next step, but it will help me to know my students' backgrounds, enabling me to provide a safe and supportive classroom for my students. After watching the video about cultural competence in our study materials, I watched the video that played next. It was Education System versus Cultural Competence, a TEDx video given by Gracia Barretti. She talks about her experiences as the only child of color in a kindergarten class. She also is of the Dominican Republican and Puerto Rican descent, and she talks about a time she was so excited to receive a birthday invitation to a party. But when she got home, she was heartbroken because her dad said no. She could not go, and it was because their culture didn't allow that kind of thing. Watching this young woman's talk about her adversities gave me a different vantage point of this kind of situation, and it opened my eyes to the heart of a child. In my classroom, I plan to know and respect my students' cultures and backgrounds. I want to find out what they're passionate about, and I would like to incorporate that into my classroom. Having a good relationship with my students is important in creating an environment of trust and safety, and I want to go beyond the curriculum with their culture, and I want to have fun with it. That will help them to find where they fit in. Getting to know their background will help me understand their behaviors as well. One thing I will not do is to allow other teachers' opinions and comments about how students acted or how they were in their classrooms to create a bias towards them. Every student deserves and gets a fresh start when they walk into my classroom. And finally, I want to listen to my parents' concerns, and I want to try to look at things from their vantage point. We all have different backgrounds and cultures, but as a student in this class said to me, we all come from the same origin. How bland would my classroom be if we were all the same? Thank you.